All right, hello, and welcome to my midterm discussion overview assignment. This is basically just going to be me going through the medical case I decided to go with for my midterm. So I'll be talking about the case, just giving a brief overview of it, and then just giving some of my thoughts, I guess, to on the case towards the end. All right, so let's just get straight into it. So the medical case, and I guess you could say the court case as well, that I decided to go with for my midterm is the case of Buck v. Bell. So this is a pretty widely known, I guess you could say, court case on the subject matter of eugenics and sterilization that took place in 1927. It involved Carrie Buck, a woman who was around the age of 20, I believe, around the time, challenging her forced sterilization from the Virginia state colony of the epileptic and feeble-minded. So, around 1927, Carrie Buck birthed a daughter. It's important to note that her daughter wasn't from marriage. Carrie Buck was sexually assaulted, and her daughter was birthed after that. This will come into play in a second, but after the birth of her daughter, the superintendent of the Virginia colony basically claimed that she was promiscuous and feeble-minded and basically not fit for reproduction. Their words, not mine. And she was basically they basically said that she had to be sterilized, and of course, not wanting to have to do that or go through that, she decided to challenge their declaration at the legal level. So the case first, I guess you could say, went to the federal court. Carrie Buck and her legal team challenged her forced sterilization. Their biggest, I guess, challenge to it was that it went against the 14th Amendment of the Constitution and the equal protection of all individuals under the law in the United States. So they took the case to the court, and they challenged her forced sterilization, and the case ended up making it to the Supreme Court, who actually ended up basically upholding the Virginia colony claim that she needed to be forcefully sterilized, because the justice who was in charge of issuing the statement, Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr., I think is how you pronounce his name. Their statement on it was, and I quote, "3 generations of imbeciles is enough." So that was basically their justification for allowing this horrible thing to continue. Basically, that I guess she wasn't fit for reproduction, and I guess they wanted to end the generations of, quote, imbeciles. So, after their statement, Carrie Buck was basically forced to go through with the sterilization, and she was forcefully sterilized on the 19th of October, 1927. So, this case had some really wide-reaching consequences. I think, at least based off of my understanding of it, after the court basically legally claimed that it was okay for people to be forcefully sterilized, it kind of emboldened other states to pass like sterilization laws, basically saying that those who were quote unquote unfit for reproduction had to be sterilized, and it basically resulted in the sterilization of over 70,000 people, I believe. Now, to be clear, it wasn't like just this case that kind of resulted in this. There were a lot of other factors, like the eugenics beliefs that were very, very popular and prominent around the time. And just the kind of the pseudoscientific beliefs about genetics and how some people were unfit to reproduce that were floating around. Those all played a role definitely in the sterilization laws, but I think this case just kind of proved to these people that, at least, according to the Supreme Court, this is legally okay. So they went through with it, and like I said, it resulted in the sterilization of thousands of individuals. So yeah, that was the court case, like an overview of it. I don't really know if I have to talk about the course connection I went with in this, since it's an overview of the subject matter, but I figure I'll do it just in case. So for my course connection part of my midterm, I decided to connect the case to Jones's almost right word argument essay that we learned quite a bit about, and we covered in one of the previous modules of the course. I noted how in the section of her essay where she talks about people with disabilities, how prejudiced beliefs, sorry, play a role in a lot of people's lives. And I kind of just I used this case of Buck v. Bell as, I guess, kind of support for that. Just to show that um, prejudice beliefs can really like impact people like horribly, and just that they can result in some truly terrible things, like the case of Buck v. Bell. A lot of this stuff, these beliefs, resulted in were came from the beliefs that some people, just based off of things like their race and their genetics and just, I guess, their physical appearance and just all that these people were unfit to reproduce, and just these racist and prejudiced beliefs really played a big role in just how popular these ideas, and these beliefs became. So let's see, am I forgetting anything else? I think that's about it. I gave an overview of the case, and I talked about my course connection. Just before I end this video off, I just want to talk about some of the sources I used in case you want to go and learn more about the case of Buck v. Bell. So one of the biggest sources I used for this and for my midterm is an article published on petriflom, .law.harvard.edu by Jasmine E. Harris. The title is Why the Case of Buck v. Bell Matters. And that was kind of the biggest article I used for, I guess, just learning about the case and just learning about the wide-reaching consequences of it. So yeah, if you want to check that out, just type that in, Why the Case of Buck v. Bell Matters by Jasmine E. Harris, and it should come up. By the way, this is like my first time, I guess, citing like major sources I used in like in a video, so I'm not really sure if I'm doing this right, but if I am, missing something, or if there's a better way for me to cite these sources, please let me know. And then the last source I used for this video is in my course connections like section of the video, where I talked about Therese Jones's almost right word essay argument. And if you just type that in, then it'll come up. And of course, you can just check the course, and there's a link to it in the course modules. All right. I think that's about it, and I'll end this recording here. So thank you for watching, and please let me know what you thought.